self-realization is not a learning. People come and sometimes they want to, to learn and to study, and that's a part of, in the big picture, it has its place. No? But the sort of conventional thought processes and the way that the mind learns in a classical way, this is of little use. Because you cannot learn the self, you can only discover that. So don't put too much emphasis on mere, especially mental learning like that. But while you're here, when I say, I encourage, no, that each one, you somehow offer up yourself inside your own yes. There's something so beautiful about this, because I want to put it that almost that yes is the most direct and powerful sadhana. It's just, it goes to places if you're trying to do things, itemizing things one by one and say, okay, I want to be free of this, I want this and this. You cannot come, sometimes you don't know what is hidden inside. And as you go through some things and other things sprout, It is like trying to subdue or to kill a tree, a mighty tree, a huge banyan tree, by cutting one leaf at a time or something. By the time you go so far, new ones are sprouting sometimes. When you say yes, it is like throwing a whole net over everything. See, one is like you throw in a fishing line and you catch one by one. When you throw the net of yes, it covers everything, even things you cannot see. So I encourage that. And you begin to feel, I can put it like that in the beginning, because in my own case, I know something speaks in a way that words don't speak, and thoughts don't speak like that, imagination don't speak like that, desire don't speak like that. I don't even know if I can use a word that it speaks, but it somehow communicates, something happens inside that is so, it can be very subtle, but there's a change inside that's unmissable. And many people I know, they come to Satsang, and somehow that, it's like the flower of consciousness opens up somehow. And you're in the self-tasting of being. But then many people, they say, oh, but then my mind came in. And I said, really, how, where, when, why, how? How is that, what does that mean, that your mind came in? And I see that a lot of times we have a relationship. I don't know if we actually have a relationship with the mind in that way, or we believe we have. And you start to believe your thoughts, something comes and your whole sense of personhood is sort of reintroduced, which by itself is not the difficulty, but that something begins to believe this, something called I. And the sense I is your most potent force, you see, because it is the root of discernment, discerning. It is the bridge between matter and spirit, you can say. In fact, the highest implication of I is the Supreme Being. Even it's been used to refer to the Parabrahman state of pure awareness. But for most beings, it comes to just mean a person. And that is what I call the fall from grace. When I is merely limited to personal meaning, you see. So time and again I'm pointing this out. Just a kind of watchfulness. I guide you also to that. Mostly it is misunderstanding that causes all the trouble. And it can take, in the beginning, it is unavoidable that you misunderstand. But gradually, it's not that you have to get rid of misunderstanding and then find understanding. Because when the misunderstanding is seen, understanding is also present. It's not coming in from somewhere, you see. So I say, come fully for this. I don't know who it is who is taking this journey in life and moving in this body. I don't know. Sometimes I can say, I can perceive the strength of it, the strength of the delusion, because I see how it's almost like an energetic smell, a psychic smell or something. How much belief you, the consciousness, carry about yourself as a person. And this is your, you know, that's your currency, in a way. Some people carry very strong identity as persons, as people. Someone is so deeply immersed, when the conscious is so deeply immersed in the belief in personhood, they will not come to satsang. Although the whole world is in a satsang, but they will not come to that conscious satsang, because something inside is running away. Like that. It is fine in the big picture. No one can escape God's view. But you are here. I didn't go out looking for you. You are called from within your own self. You come. Just you come, I say, okay. And then open your heart fully to the possibility, to the all possible. The all possible only mean to come to the full recognition of this. Don't try to understand why and how and if and but and no. Just hold in your heart that your life can be miraculous. Don't try and explain everything. Just come to this fire fully. The ways of the mind, I've said the ways of the mind are ancient, but yourself is timeless. The ways of the mind are very, very subtle and cunning ways. It's impossible to walk that road without sorrow, because it's full of tricks. The path of the ego is full of tricks. Don't even spend time studying it. A waste of time. A true teacher or a true place cuts out a lot of delusions very, very quickly from the beginning, because they have no investment in time and in all these delusions about, becoming a better person. So that comes naturally, if it's worth anything at all. It will cut out delusions very quickly and bring you into the heart in very little time. Don't set yourself up for this idea that, it's difficult and it's far away and so on, because that serves nothing but your mind. Don't even think it's easy. Don't think it's hard or think it's easy. As much as possible, don't think at all. It's better thing, If you know and you have the power, as you should do, to recognize grace somehow as it moves inside your being, then follow that intuition, follow that vibration, and go all the way. I said a few days ago that if you just want some truth, it will be very, very difficult. But if you want all the truth, it is very easy. You want a little bit of guidance, it will be very difficult to follow. But if you want to be free, it's very easy. God does not know how to give you half a gift. It is only our minds, in our complexities that behave like that. So, when you have somehow matured or attained a certain state, but these are feeble words actually. But when you come to a certain maturity or stability, it won't matter where you go actually, or what company you find yourself amongst. These things will make very little difference to you, if anything at all, in fact. You'll not have the sense that you're going around choosing situations or making decisions or, selecting something here or there. You're entirely empty. And casually you look at the world, perceive the world unfolding, and you find that somehow there's always a harmony there somehow. You don't rely upon your physical eyes only, or upon the conditioned mind to interpret this existence. You're simply one with it. Don't try and study life. Simply find your synchronicity with it. And the easiest way is to really follow the guidance that points you back to that place which is the ultimate seeing place, which has no personal investment in the unfolding manifestations. Though this thing is the most simple, most easy, the most innocent thing, yet it seems rare in the human kingdom that one gets it. How is this? This is a real mystery. We are all this, and all there is this. And yet, like a spell, a whole world of seeming differences feel true. And we believe ourselves to be merely the objective body and live as though we're objects in an objective world. It's very difficult to wake up out of this sleep and to crush this delusion. I prefer to let people know that in each heart the same one voice calls you. Don't feel. Sometimes your mind will tell you you're not ready, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. Or if you're a certain other type, it might tell you, oh, you are the best, you are the chosen, you are the rare one. How will you transcend this voice? He's been speaking from the Garden of Eden until now. And yet you must not curse him. You must simply wake up, overcome this. Use your powers of discernment, your Dharma eye, and clarify your true position. When the urge in you is sincere and genuine, a true one will come for you, guide you. So,
Mooji, can I come? I don't want to I don't want the truth in my way. I want to go all the way, I'm here to go all the way, not like to feel better or to I don't know, just feel that I can feel this, I don't know.
Listen, all the way is not a distance. This is a way without distance. All the way is not a distance. It's not a fullness of knowledge or something. All the way means to be empty. This is a paradox, isn't it? All the way means to be empty. And empty is not something even you do. This is there's many ideas come, even spiritual ideas. And you must discern between them which ones are truly of value, because they come. And for a time, we are somehow attracted to some because it seems like, I just want to do this and I want to be finished with this and so on and so on and so on. And you still don't know. It's still your mind speaking. You see? in a way, it's always our mind speaking. And yet, at the same time, it is only the self speaking. How are we going to understand this thing? You see, only the beings who somehow, whose thinking are not just linear, not just linear or perpendicular, whose thinking can be flexible, will somehow absorb and transcend this type of influence. The way that we have learned, in life is very much that we learn in grooves of learning. We learn in tribal ways. We learn certain kind of disciplines. We don't actually learn holistically. Although if you're not taught too much, your being absorbs and learns holistically. But cultures tend not to be holistic. You follow? And so it's not a blame, it's just that that's kind of how it is. And why I tell you this is, however diverse the ways of consciousness plays through the mind as duality, the power in you is always greater. You see, this is why I can tell you this thing. And now I'm feeling words coming like saying, how do you access this power? But I know that's not true.
Oh yeah. Maybe I don't know if I use the right words. I don't feel that I need to do something. It's I actually this one who like to do something that I don't trust in this, because I feel more to like.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Yes.
No? It is you who decide how things are. It's something I'm wanting to tell the hearers that have the space to listen to that. It is you who determine. There's nothing that exists as a kind of fact unto itself. Somehow it's you who have the capacity to see it, to use it, or to change its meaning, or whatever it is. It doesn't have an inherent meaning independent of you. So so the sense of being, even liking things and enjoying the life and so on, is perfectly innocent if you are the self. But if you are the ego, it can become trouble. Now the fact is that you are not the ego. But if you imagine you're the ego, somehow you become the ego. It's like you live in that identity, although it's not what we are. Now the way that we learn in this linear way, like things are like that, they are not like that. Well, it's not true. Things are everywhere. There's all of this is only potential. And, like we have a common way of perceiving the world as a kind of like some objective entity. And I say, but the world is not an object, the world is the subject. But then immediately I feel if that penetrates or not. Does it penetrate into the wisdom heart or not? Because if you take yourself to be a person, you cannot stop seeing objects everywhere as objects. People are objects. Even thought is object. Everything becomes object, becomes solid. When you understand yourself as consciousness, then everything is our forms of consciousness. When you know yourself to be nothing, then all objects are empty. In the most beautiful way, they are a kind of form of divinity. This is why I'm telling you that there's a saying, I am not seeing the world as it really is. I'm seeing the world as I am. Like you've heard, it's if you put on some yellow glasses, everything looks yellow. If you put on blue glasses, everything looks blue. And concepts are like that. It's just like this. Why am I saying this thing? Don't believe too much in the voice that says, yes, but all I want is this. In a way, sometimes I am working with this voice and have I I allow a relationship with this voice. This voice plays as the devotee of the Lord. And sometimes I see it and I says, yes, yes, yes. This desire you have for truth will burn up every other desire. And then finally it also will be burnt. You see? But for those who can hear genuinely, not cleverly, because there's another part of the mind that hears, understands things cleverly, but it's like unswallowed food. It just stays in the head, like a piggy bank. It just stays in the head. I don't want anybody to follow anything like that. The more time we spend together, the more empty you're going to become. So if you believe in becoming more full and becoming more everything and so on, you may be a bit surprised, no? Beautifully surprised. Maybe shockingly surprised at the beginning. Because we are not taught in our life that emptiness has a value. In fact, emptiness has no value. It's beyond value. And yet it is the most precious thing. I'm using stupid words. Precious is not precious because it is beyond value.
I feel that more that don't don't do like some when you say to when you said today like to when you are not here, like everything is like I feel like this when I'm not here. I mean in
Yeah,
my
you're a
natural
person. When you're a
when
person, or what?
no when the person when I am not the person when the person is not here, everything is I'm home, you know,
Yes.
everything. And I feel that your point is it's so clear, it's very simple, and it's like it's beyond the words. I feel it's beyond the words, and the mind wants to work with the concepts and mixing the words. And but I feel your point is very clear, and I feel my home is like I feel you are here as well, and
You have to be the proof of my words.
yes, and I don't know how to do, and I just
So
want
you know that you don't have to do.
yes,
You know this.
yes, yes,
And something is swallowing you up from the inside.
yes,
And your part is simply to say, thank you.
yeah, that's what
What always we can say like that. Because if you say you have to do this, you have to do that, it's a burden, really.
yes,
The mind may like it for a while. Oh yeah, I gotta do this, and because it uses the journey to escape the destination. Okay. When you begin to look more with the wisdom eyes of your own heart, you start to see and expose lots of things that look like they were true. You know, I'm on this path, and and you see that all of these are just forms of avoidance in some way.
yes.
Yeah.
I don't feel I'm on journey no more, and I don't feel like um, I want to merge completely in that, but also I can see this, you know, I can see the one who are saying this, and
If you can see the one who is saying this, you know, if you can perceive the one who is saying this,
yes,
then who or what are you then? And where are you seeing from? We don't have to use words because I prefer that we don't dirty words up with our own kind of cleverness or something. Because the words are funny, because when they are spoken with a pure heart, they do have a purity about them. Because they carry the perfume of the real. Rare, though. But just something continues to live on in the notion of of yes, this is what I totally want on this thing. And what I point to is so strikingly easy. It's already here, you know. Sometimes it's not teaching you need, just a slap, a kick, or some throw you over the bridge or something like this, because this type of stuff somehow is sometimes carrying the kind of the thing that can jerk you out of your groove, you know. And yet you cannot plan this, you know. It cannot be planned. It's just here. Everything is here. Everything is needed. If there's something needed, it's here. It's here.
I fully trust.
Yes.
Just fully trust, and I don't have no words. Sometimes that tends that
Yes.
I can see this tendency to like say something,
Yeah.
but I don't feel I don't even have to come to say something here. Maybe I could have sitting there, and I just want to say I'm fully trust, and that's it. And thank you, and it's staying here in your presence at your feet, like the most beautiful thing for me.
Yes.
This.
Then you will become very, very quiet, empty. This quiet is so powerful, because when you search, you know, like even for, you know, what exactly am I? If this question ever arises for you, what exactly am I? Can I be, you know? And you search for it and try to identify this I, and so on. And what happened? You cannot find anything.
Yes.
You come to a place you cannot.
That's
Your
nothing
question
here.
empties out into nothing at all.
Yes.
And then what happens then after this?
I can see this. That's it.
Yeah,
There's a habit to go to back to, I don't know, to go to back to the person, and it's just a habit. I can feel that's not real. It's just like
it's a delusion.
It's a delusion, yeah.
Nothing like this is happening at all. No, but
But
nothing. Go
I'm
back.
not.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know, this is all in. This is back on the screen of the movie, and it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's okay. It's on the screen of the movie. It's okay.
No, just to exposing like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yes.
can feel this tendency to go back, but
Yeah.
that's not. There is not my place. My place is. I don't have. It's just you. I don't know you. You are here, and actually, I don't know. There's no you.
In the non-finding of yourself phenomenally
Yes.
is the recognizing of yourself nominally. If I can put it like this, you see, it's not something that can be pointed out, because it's not an object, isn't it? So, because we are accustomed to having some kind of psychic photograph or a kind of psychic image of what we are or something like this, but in being in this kind of environment, which is not feeding the person, it's not feeding the person. So the person gets starved out a little bit, and he fights, no? He fight to stay, fight, and threaten, and make a lot of trouble, no? For himself, really. But and still at the same time, it gives the space to look and to confirm that there is no such thing found. Until it is searched for, the fact of its non-existence does not come to light. But when it's searched for, you find that who is living in this house, you know? Where exactly are you living in this house? And no place. There's no room where this person lives, except his thought. And that is the first big liberation. Somehow. That somehow is in spite of looking and finding no one here, yet something is totally here.
Yes, I don't know. When I inquire this, I come to a point that I don't know. The only thing truth to say is maybe I don't know who I am, but it's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing that I
Yeah.
it's not even felt. It's just like I don't know. It's the most beautiful thing in the world to don't know who I am,
Yeah.
to be nothing.
And you have to keep your finding and your wording and your thought process to yourself about this, because the people cannot understand, because mostly we are functioning in a certain kind of way, a cultural way of looking and comprehending and so on. So don't be trying to share this thing. Well, don't be you. It's you. And then you trying to share this thing won't happen. Then if somehow it comes up in a kind of communication or something like this, then it is just the consciousness is conversing with consciousness about consciousness. There's no person involved in it at all. And like that, we don't know what, you have the sense, I don't know anything at all. I don't know anything, I don't know anything at all. You don't say this thing, you may say it, I don't know. You just see the ridiculousness of the mind when it is functioning on behalf of a person. When the mind is functioning as a servant to the self, it is fine. When I say to you, this whole human thing doesn't work, it has never worked by itself. It can only work when it is sitting in the heart of truth. Then it comes alive. Otherwise, it's just trouble and mischief. Easy. You don't need to share by telling people things. Sometimes you're being shared just by being quiet. Many masters of old, sometimes they only had one disciple, actually. Some had none, in fact. So they're not, if if you don't have no disciple, you're not a master also. You're nothing. They find maybe, they don't go looking, but they find, oh, this one we can work with this one, or these two, or these three. Now, I have this ridiculous idea that everybody can get it. So, the self has created that delusion somehow, and is fascinated by it. And because looking from this side, I see nothing but the self. If you let me in to look from your side, I'll see nothing else but the self also. Or let you know what I'm pointing. When we live in the shape, the paradigm of a person, what is the highest thing you can want as a person? I've looked for it. What is the highest thing a person would want? And, um, and yet the most beautiful and complete one is in the heart of this being. And yet somehow it appears as though it is fascinated with just trivialities and momentary pleasures and pursuits. This is the game, I say, like a game. And I don't feel in myself any hurry or mission to go and finish this game. Only responding to those who, according to their present place in it. And there's a joy there. When there's some aspiration seen or felt, there's an urge that is opening up into the light of understanding or freedom, whatever name you want to call it. There's something marvelous, something beautiful about that. My field of interest has narrowed significantly. Your environment, your climate should just be the self, just the beingness. You know, I told you that if you had the flu or something like this, for say a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, everything you do and whatever occurs in that flu state. You know, you're not doing anything about it. Everything takes place in the flu state. At a certain time, you come to see everything is taking place in the beingness state. And beingness is your primary intuitive corresponding stuff. Everything is, you're just in the vibe of the self. Just like when you have the flu, you know, it's somehow it's with you in everything you do. You speak like that. You're not doing it, but it just comes out like that. The same way everything is activities of the self or a movement on the self, but your mind can't go far. You cannot go 2, 3 steps ahead. You're not interested. There's no need for that. You don't plan your day. God becomes your secretary. Arranges everything for you. Everything in life is arranged for you.
So beautiful. You are my life.
I am you. You and me. Same thing. Not something I want to shout about. Just I remind you. The whole play of existence as it appears through the emotions, the senses, and mind is just like a soup of sensations. At any given moment, some intense focus may happen, but not created somehow. If something needs to be scrutinized, you know, sort of in very, very amazing detail. The power comes to do that. If it's not there, it doesn't do that. The senses and their functions, they are noticed somehow in you. But you're not the manager of them. They function for some kind of, maybe the intelligence of the being. Something is happening there. Only the one who is empty can be truly happy, unendingly, uninterruptedly happy. Because this happiness needs no story, needs no context, no event. And yet if there's events, then it's okay too. But it doesn't need anything. Find that within yourself, that is without need. Needs are on another level. Let that level be there too, that's okay. Body has to have certain things, whatever, but that's not what we're talking. Let the body have its needs. Let the mind has his little doggy biscuit. Let everything be satisfied. Because the power of God satisfies everything according to their temperament and needs. Even the demons must get their portions. They must get whatever it is that brings them joy, even if it's mischief. The one source feeds everything. Yes, something is beyond even this. The words have a certain kind of history in a way, the history of our conditioning. So when I say beyond, it puts beyond like a kind of linear thing, like kind of a distance or something. It doesn't mean beyond in terms of that kind of measurable distance. I mean beyond in terms of subtlety, the purest of all, beyond even the concept of purity. How do you grasp these things? Not with your learning mind so much. Okay. There must come a time when you go in whatever environments you find yourself in, you find that just the scenes are changing. You are still the unchanging. Don't be afraid of this, because the mind will tell you ahead of this, or you're just going to get bored. Everything is going to look the same, taste the same. What's the fun in that? And because you've listened before, you may listen again to that.
Thank you.
Namaste, everybody. Let's leave. See you some point. Love you, love you, love you.